Right now, things in Formula One are like a seesaw going up and down. Some drivers are thrilled, while others are in a tough spot. It's a mix of joy and misery, and it's happening right next to each other, just a few meters apart. From the tension between Aston Martin drivers to the excitement of Liam Lawson's debut, followed by the news that he's only going to be a reserve driver, it's a world of extremes. And between these tensions and all, Red Bull gives a shocking update on the new 2024 drive lineup. So, let's dive into the video to know more. The question raising heads is about the Red Bull team and what's happening with Sergio Perez. The situation in the Red Bull garage is a great example of this duality. On one side, you have the reigning champion and record breaker Lewis Hamilton. And right next to him, you find a once hopeful contender for the championship, Sergio Perez. Unfortunately, Sergio Perez is facing a lot of criticism for not performing well. Sergio Perez is facing tough times, and the Red Bull team isn't keeping it a secret. In the recent Qatar Grand Prix, a Red Bull driver faced difficulties due to unfortunate circumstances. But he didn't give up. He fought back up in the race, almost reaching the podium. However, Sergio Perez had a different story. He struggled to pass another car on the track, even though he was driving the same car that had won the Drivers' Championship just the day before. It's been a tough weekend for him. Christian Horner's warning. Red Bull's team principal, Christian Horner, hasn't held back in expressing his concerns and expectations about Sergio Perez's performance. He stressed the need for Perez to step up, especially in the coming year, stating, "We need him to be firing on all cylinders, not just this year, but certainly next year." This is a significant statement, indicating Red Bull's higher expectations for Perez. What's even more concerning is that Horner didn't stop there. He openly criticized Perez's weekend performance, describing it as a shocker of a race and highlighting the penalties Perez received. Horner underlined that they know Perez's potential, and he's currently falling short of their expectations. Red Bull urgently requires Perez to regain his top form to maintain their position in the championship. Red Bull's public acknowledgement of Sergio Perez's crisis signals their contemplation of the worst-case scenario. They are likely exploring their options if Perez can't recover his form. In Formula One, teams plan for all contingencies. Perez's ongoing struggle is making his potential exit from the last resort, Plan Z, a more realistic option, possibly Plan C or B Marco's unusual approach. We expected a typical Helmut Marko outburst after the race, where he criticizes Perez, praises Max Verstappen, and hints at a driver change. But what we got was different. Marko's comments were cold and precise. He emphasized the significant gap between Verstappen and Perez, jeopardizing Red Bull's second place in the World Championship. While they want to honor Perez's contract until 2024, Marko hinted at having 3 capable drivers in AlphaTauri. If Perez loses second place to Lewis Hamilton, Red Bull might part ways with him. They're not known for keeping underperforming drivers. The challenge now is deciding which top driver they'll promote if Perez falls short. Here's where things get tricky for Red Bull. It might seem like they have a pool of perfect candidates, but it's not simple. The problem is that there isn't a suitable successor. Most talented Red Bull Academy drivers are either too young and lack experience or aren't even part of the Red Bull family. Some are potential imports from other teams. And Red Bull doesn't want to rush their development in the sport, like what happened with Daniel Ricciardo. They've been in a hurry before, leaving them with drivers who weren't ready, like Jedi younglings during Order 66. So the decision for Red Bull isn't as straightforward as it may seem. The situation at Red Bull is a real head-scratcher. They don't have many great options right now, and Marko, the man in charge, knows it. The drivers they'd want are not available. Marko mentioned the McLaren drivers, but also surprised us by bringing up Fernando Alonso as a potential candidate who could keep up with Max Verstappen. Backing Perez, a dilemma. Red Bull faces a dilemma with no immediate driver solutions, leaving them unsure about Sergio Perez's future. Helmut Marko doesn't believe upcoming races will save Perez's season. Red Bull has limited options: stick with Perez or take a chance on their junior team's drivers, which isn't ideal. There's also a slim hope for an outsider with super license points. The 2024 season may be a transition period focusing on damage control while preparing junior drivers like Liam Lawson for the main team. In an ideal scenario, Red Bull would release Perez from pressure. He might take a sabbatical before joining another team, possibly as an experienced driver. Daniel Ricciardo could replace him and focus on safe point scoring. Lawson moves to AlphaTauri. Tsunoda remains a benchmark, and Red Bull might welcome new ownership and a fresh name, ensuring a happy ending except for Alpine, which still faces challenges. So, what do you think of the shocking update on the new 2024 lineup by Red Bull? Comment below and subscribe for more.